It's been 10 odd years since Daredevil premiered on Netflix, following Matt Murdock, blind lawyer by day, masked vigilante with super perception by night. And honestly, when I heard that Daredevil Born Again was going to be a thing, my first thought was, because really, Disney, how do I put this?
I've been burnt by you before.
But a new show that follows in the continuity of the old one, with Matt and Foggy and Karen and Fisk and Philip J. Silvera? I'll give that a go. Who's Philip J. Silvera? I'm so glad you asked.
I went after Daredevil. That was something I wanted to do for the longest time. And when I heard it was coming about, I approached it and I went after it with everything I was because I knew I could tell the story of these characters.
This is the energy we need. In case we haven't met before, my name is Jill Bearup, and every season of Daredevil contains one of my favourite, very specific subcategories of fight. The oneer, one shot, long take, continuous take, long shot. It has many names. You put the camera on the thing and you just let it run. If you've ever seen Atomic Blonde, that has another great example of a fight scene which looks like it's one long continuous take. It's not, but especially the first time through, the places they make the cuts are absolutely invisible, and I love it. In a media landscape dominated by very fast cutting, like your audience can't be trusted to pay attention for more than 3 seconds, or your actors can't be trusted to throw a punch properly, the long take is where you let people shine. It is, in my opinion anyway, one of the best ways to build tension in a fight and really draw us into the world of the characters. To be fair, it is also so much more work than the method where you can splice together numerous takes, but when you do get the whole thing right, boy. The now famous hallway fight is from Daredevil episode 2 of series 1. It's called Cutman, and things you need to know before we start: a little boy has been kidnapped by the Russian mafia, and Matt Murdock, Daredevil, has been very badly beaten up at the start of the episode. The plot of the episode goeth thusly. A very badly beaten up Matt Murdock is rescued by a nurse named Claire, and the episode takes place in both the present day, where he's trying to find the whereabouts of the little boy, and in the past, where young Matt Murdock is acting as Cutman for his boxer father. We see a little bit more of what happened when Matt went blind, and we also learn that Matt's father always entered the ring with his arms down. We'll need that for this visual later. Regardless, by the time we get to the end of the episode and Matt has found out where they're keeping the boy, he is in really bad shape. But you gotta do what you gotta do. As I said, the cuts in the shot are supposed to be invisible, and so it looks like this is a single take which lasts for more than 5 minutes. And we start with what I think is the perfect setup, giving us both the approximate numbers involved and the entire geography of the place. There is a hallway, and there are 3 rooms. TV's on in the room to the left, and from that room, this guy appears. The room at the end has the little boy in it, and also this guy just stole his apple, which really just adding insult to injury there. He goes into the room on the right, full of men sitting around a table, and another man walks out and into the room on the left. And then we pan around to the exit sign, and maybe 30, 40 paces away from this little boy who really wants his dad, there's Matt. Arms at his sides, hands bound up like a boxer, clearly not in the best shape, but Murdocks get hit a lot. It's just that they get back up again. And down the hall Matt goes, listening, not looking, obviously. I tried very hard to keep track of everyone in the scene, but it is quite tricky, so if I make a mistake, I hope you will forgive me. I think there are 9 baddies in total, 5 in the room with the TV and 4 in the room with the table. Plus Charlie Cox's stunt double, Chris Brewster, I believe. So we are going to give most of the fight performers names, but only as it becomes useful to do so. Let's do this. Daredevil gets to the door on the left and in he goes. He kicks a guy who is on the floor by the time we follow him in, punches a second guy, avoids being shot by a third, and the camera moves back out, the door swinging closed behind it as we hear but don't see mayhem. After a few seconds, the door is broken right off its hinges, and a man, we'll call him Alan, falls out of it. The noise has attracted the inhabitants of the other room, and so Bob, one of the 4 guys in there, comes out to investigate. But obviously Daredevil knows where all of these people are without needing to have line of sight, and so he throws the microwave through the doorway, braining Bob with it before he even knows what's happened. And since Bob was the guy who stole the kid's apple, I feel like a food-based concussion is entirely appropriate. Daredevil is a very dark show, and probably too dark in tone overall for my personal taste, to be honest, but the reason I kept watching it is because I was so compelled by it. Unlike a show like The Witcher, which was also very dark, it knew how to have fun. This is a very serious situation, but also that guy just got brained with a microwave. That's hilarious. Another man, let's call him Carl, is thrown out of the door of the left-hand room, and a man armed with a shotgun? I think, comes out of the right-hand room to see what's going on. Let's call him Dave. Daredevil smacks Dave in the head with his own weapon as Earl and Fred come running out to help, so we have now emptied the right-hand room completely. Earl is unarmed, Fred has a handgun, and so Matt ducks to stay out of Fred's line of fire. Dave's gun goes off, Matt slams Dave against the wall, and uses Dave's weapon to beat Earl and Fred, because we're not about killing people. Earl needs a little extra throwing and Daredevil kicks Dave again, but now Fred is getting up and still has his gun, and Fred gets beaten some more as the camera operator moves around them, so now we're facing in the opposite direction. Daredevil chucks the gun at Alan, who you may remember from earlier. He got thrown through the door of the TV room. I assume he has been too dazed to join the fight prior to this point. Daredevil throws Fred, takes the handgun, clocks him around the head with it, and then falls over because it's been an intense couple of minutes, right? And this is one of the moments that makes people really love this fight, because the good guy isn't invincible and the bad guys don't just take one hit and then fall over and stay there. Now, if you've been counting, there are 4 opponents on the ground in front of the door. 3 from the room with the table and 1 from the room with the TV. I believe it's Carl, Dave, and Earl who get up. I think Fred is just done for the moment. Matt uses the gun to smack them around. There's a little bit of an off-the-wall moment and everything, but boy, he looks tired, and he's forced to throw the gun to hit someone with. So when Bob, who got hit by the microwave earlier, gets up for another go, we're back to just punching. We lose Matt for a second. Alan comes a-running to try and take him out, but nope. Fred, though, has managed to get back up at this point, and they're both so tired, like leaning against walls, trying to catch their breath, the whole 9 yards. We work our way back up to multiple opponents intermittently against one Matt Murdock who just refuses to quit. There's that wall-assisted punch again, but also there's that absolute physical exhaustion right up until the last second when he springs into action. He gets dragged into the room with the table, we hear more noises of violence, he deals with that, and then fancy acrobatics. Often in superhero movies, the fancy move is the one that kind of finishes the fight, but not here. It almost works, but we still need to follow it up with some good old-fashioned punching before he falls into the table room out of sheer exhaustion. This is where we swap from Chris Brewster to Charlie Cox, and Daredevil goes up to the room where they're keeping the little boy. He takes his mask off, and he opens the door.
Hi. I know you're scared, but I'm here to help you.
And then he stands on the door of the TV room as he walks out, breaking it. Nice. As I said, the thing I really appreciate about one-shot fights is how effectively they build tension. And nowhere more so than here, where we are very aware of the stakes at the end of the whole. It's not just that Matt can't let these guys win. He also has to keep them so distracted that they don't think, hey, maybe we should go kill the hostage. Matt cannot quit, he cannot run away, or they will kill the little boy to prevent this from happening again. Editing is in some ways like punctuation in a sentence, and like punctuation, it tells you when to take a breath. So what happens when there is no breath to take? What happens when there is no cut? The tension just keeps going and going and going. When watching the prison scene in season 3 of Daredevil, I found the fact that they didn't cut really unsettling. I don't know if you're the kind of person who holds their breath when a character in a movie falls into water, but I am, so maybe that's why the single shot has such a grip on my imagination. Regardless, this fight scene is fabulous. It's well conceived, it's well shot. The whole way is lit in this really eerie greenish yellow, but 3 things stand out in Daredevil red. 1, the room where they're keeping the boy. 2, the exit sign. And 3, Matt's blood. It's just top tier. Every time one of the fighters leans on the wall or has to take a breath or struggles to get up, it adds to the weight and the sense of reality. And that's vital, especially in shows which are, like Daredevil, quite dark in tone. It's very important in fight choreography to understand the story that the fight is trying to tell, but it's also really important to be able to contextualize that fight within the broader world of the story. There's not really such a thing as a 100% realistic stage fight, and there are many reasons for that. But this fight still has a verisimilitude that many other fights lack. It's not that realistic that this would be the outcome of this kind of fight, right? But it feels real. It feels plausible. And that's what's important. And it does that while echoing the themes of both the show and this specific episode. Murdochs, they get hit a lot. But you know what? They get back up again. That absolute pig-headed stubbornness is why I never wondered while watching the show, why doesn't Matt just move out of Hell's Kitchen? The answer was obvious. The man is a glutton for punishment. But I did wonder about Foggy and Karen and everybody else. I mean, you don't have to live in Hell's Kitchen, you don't have to live in New York City, you don't have to live in New York State. There are 49 other states, and if none of those are your cup of tea, Puerto Rico? The Northern Mariana Islands, maybe? I mean, I wouldn't go for the Northern Mariana Islands because they have huntsman spiders, and I'm sure they're important for the ecosystem, but any ecosystem that includes huntsman spiders is not going to include me. But whatever. Still in all, Karen, I know you're from Vermont and you don't want to go back there because reasons, but Ohio? Pennsylvania? Maine, maybe? Just a suggestion. As I said, I enjoyed the original Daredevil, but it was a bit dark for my personal tastes, and I think that Born Again will be that also. Nonetheless, I am at least going to give the first episode a go. And I'm hoping against hope that the show is actually good, regardless of whether or not it's also my personal cup of tea. But we'll just have to see. In the meantime, if you would like breakdowns of the Season 2 and Season 3 one-shot fights in Daredevil, leave a comment and let me know. Otherwise, I will see you soon.